Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I seek to advise the public regarding recent events and an investigation that has followed. The Toronto Police Drug Squad, assisted by members of 22 Division and our CBRNE unit, became aware of an individual who was allegedly attempting to traffic controlled substance through a national courier here in the GTA. This individual was concealing large amounts of cocaine and ketamine in parcels packaged and masked by the use of the spice paprika. The drugs seized by the police were believed to be destined for Edmonton, Alberta. During the course of the investigation, officers executing search warrants located and seized over 5 kilograms of cocaine, 1 kilogram of ketamine, and an amount of Canadian currency believed to be in the area of $175,000. The street values of the drugs seized are valued at approximately $550,000. On Wednesday, May 20th, 2015, in the afternoon hours, a gentleman by the name of An Tung Lai, 28 years, of Woodbridge, Ontario, was arrested. And over the course of the three-day investigation conducted by the drug squad, he has now been charged with the following offenses: possession of cocaine for the purpose of trafficking, possession of ketamine for the purpose of trafficking, and 2 counts of proceeds of crime. Persons looking to traffic controlled substance through the mail should be warned that we will go to great lengths to intercept these packages and hold the involved persons responsible. A pattern of behavior triggered the identification of this original package by an alert courier company employee. Drug squad officers were able to establish that the behavior was consistent with those who seek to traffic controlled substance through the mail and entered into this investigation. It was identified that the parcels in question were suspicious and contained a powder-like substance. Officers then took the necessary steps and determined that the powder was not explosive, nor was it a biohazard. It was then determined that the nature of the substance was in fact ketamine. I have to state that Toronto is the largest city in Canada and a major transit hub, but it also holds true that it relates to the travel of many controlled substances. We are currently investigating the possibility that this individual may be responsible for shipments previous to those that were intercepted, and we are working with other law enforcement agencies throughout Canada in relation to this investigation. My investigators are continuing the investigation and will take the necessary steps to seek out other parcels and apprehend anybody involved as a recipient of these parcels. I'd like to advise the media of the dangers involving the drug ketamine. This controlled substance is categorized as a dissociative anesthetic. It was originally designed as an anesthetic and tranquilizer and is often used on horses during veterinarian surgery. However, it is now used by individuals. Short and long-term effects include increased heart rate and blood pressure, nausea, vomiting, numbness, depression, amnesia, hallucinations, and potentially fatal respiratory problems. Due to the detached, dreamlike state it creates, the user often finds it difficult to move. Ketamine has been used in drug-facilitated sexual assaults on unsuspecting victims. It is often referred to on the street and in the clubs as a date rape drug. Ketamine may be diverted from legitimate sources, or it may be produced in clandestine labs. Traffickers will go to great lengths to prevent detection. There is no limit to the list of ways that they may use or conceal their drugs. The packages of cocaine held the imprint of a Star of David, which is quite common for trafficking organizations to put some form of brand into their drugs. Toronto Police are asking anyone with information about any other individuals responsible for this seizure or the trafficking of any illegal substances through the mail or through national courier companies. We're asking them to contact the police at 416-808-6110 or Crime Stoppers, online at www.222-TIPS or at 416-22-TIPS, and text Toronto and your message to Crime Stoppers. I'll now take your questions.
Can you explain how this drug was intercepted, or how the trafficking was intercepted?
It was as a result of a very alert employee at a national courier company. There was characteristics of suspicious activity regarding the individual and the packages that he was allegedly shipping to Western Canada. At this point, a secondary inspection was conducted by investigators within the courier company. They were able to detect a powder concealed within the box, and at that point, Toronto Police were called.
You mentioned paprika. Can you explain how that was used?
Often, drug traffickers will mask what's in packages to try to throw off law enforcement agencies. Paprika being a spice of a strong nature, like any other type of spice that often is used by drug traffickers, is to throw off our detection level or detection of other investigators.
So how would they send this off to the courier company? Was it as simple as just put it in a bag and hand it over, or how do they sort of try and hide what they're shipping?
Often it's concealed within other type of products, garments, not chemicals, spices, dishes, anything. In this particular investigation, however, the bags were vacuum sealed. They were triple wrapped in the surrounding packages in paprika, and they actually did not have any other contents within the box.
Any guns found?
Sorry?
Any weapons or guns?
No weapons found.
Is that the kind of volume that they're trying to ship, like a big cube like that? They were trying to ship that amount at once?
We seized two separate packages over 2 days. The first box contained a kilogram of ketamine, and the second box contained, each package that you see on display here is 1 kilogram of cocaine, and that was in the second package. And this is what you're seeing here is described as what's referred to as at a brick level. At the brick level, generally it's close to 100% purity.
Have you seen this before, someone trying to courier this volume of drugs from Toronto?
Yes, we have. There's a number of investigations we've done in the past. We certainly have not got into investigations or seizures of this large of a quantity on a one attempt or a one package attempt, but we certainly have been involved in a number of investigations where this mechanism is attempted by traffickers.
Are you concerned it's a trend at all?
It's something that traffickers will use. Our concern is certainly the large quantity that's coming at one particular level. A very large concern is ketamine, for the very reasons that I spelled out in the dangers of that particular drug. So there's a strong concern by the Toronto Police of ketamine being used. The other concern is, of course, when it's going through a courier company or going through postal deliveries is, does it get to the recipient that the trafficker wants it to get to versus perhaps going into other people's hands that it shouldn't be. So we have a strong concern. That's why we're aggressively investigating this, and we're certainly asking for the media's assistance and the public's assistance. These drugs are marked. They're marked for a reason. A trend that is changing in certainly in the drug trafficking higher-ups is marking their products. We've had a number of seizures in the recent months where products are now being marked, and it certainly appears to be that they're establishing the identity of their product.
I'd like to touch on this, as you put it in the press release, this concerning trend. I was talking with one of your officers before about it, and in what way does this change the working relationship between investigators and courier companies? Because courier companies, we see it every day, they drop off these seemingly innocuous packages, and nobody thinks anything of it. So how does this change the game in terms of your dealing with everyday courier companies?
Well, I got to tell you, from a policing aspect and from the Toronto Police aspect, we have a great relationship with the courier companies. Here in the GTA, they're very proactive in not only calling the Toronto Police, but other policing agencies and working with us. If they at all have any suspicion regarding any illegality of drugs or other substance being shipped, they're very quick to call us. From our perspective, though, we discussed this morning at our meeting, is the fact that we're going to be meeting with all our courier companies in the next week, including Canada Post, to discuss this and to see where the Toronto Police and our courier companies and Canada Post can perhaps work. We already are working together, but even form a stronger bond in our joint investigations.
Do you think this would include maybe, I guess best poses a question, are Toronto police satisfied that courier company employees are trained enough to detect suspicious packages?
That's a very fair question, and I honestly don't have the answer for that, because that will be something I'm going to deal with when we meet with our courier company security officials. I can tell you they do have in-house training at the courier companies, but I don't know at what level it is.
Can you tell us when the original ketamine was shipped? When the courier employee actually discovered that package?
Yes, it was in the afternoon hours of May 20th, this past Wednesday.
All on the same day. It was all on the same day, so he came back the same day.
That's correct. What happened is when the officers were actually at the courier company investigating, the arrested party came back to on that very same day to try and deliver the second package. At that point, he was arrested by the officers, and at this point, the drug squad did a search warrant on the box, at which time we found the cocaine.
And the cash was found?
The what, sorry?
The cash was found where?
The cash was found in a motor vehicle belonging to the accused. We have now seized the motor vehicle, and it was also wrapped, concealed in vacuum-sealed bags, and also triple wrapped in paprika.
Is there any indication that this person was successful before in using this courier service to deliver drugs?
There's indication, and as part of our investigation, that this person has made deliveries through this courier company. However, this individual is not known to the police prior to his arrest.
You know, as we start to see online shopping gain more prominence and more people, I assume, getting and buying products from these courier companies, do you think this is going to be a problem as drug traffickers try and use these services more often?
I don't know if it's going to be an increased trend. I mean, it's something that they try to use as a mechanism in the past. So whether they're going to try and up the level and use this, I can certainly tell you that the police will be on top of them if they do.
Something I don't understand, if let's say the guy's mailing it to his cousin in Edmonton, and it's a courier. It's not like meet me in the park by the tree. I mean, there's going to be printouts of addresses and that sort of thing from his previous transactions. Are they trying to cloak the people that they're sending it to, or are they being like just very straight up stupid?
Without getting too much into the investigative techniques that we've had to use and be involved in, they are certainly trying to mask both the sender end as well as the receiving end. I don't want to get quite into our investigative techniques, but your question is quite correct. They are trying to mask it.
Is ketamine manufactured illegally, or this was stolen from a pharmaceutical company?
No, ketamine can be either. It can be stolen from a legitimate laboratory and converted into a powder form. It can also be made as a chemical in clandestine labs. So it can be either or.
Who was on the receiving end in Edmonton?
At this point, because it's an investigation that we're working with our counterparts in Edmonton, I'm not able to disclose that.
Can you tell us a little bit about where this all happened? I know 22 Division, but can you give us any more specifics?
It happened within a national courier company within the west end of Toronto. To be fair to the courier company, they've done a great job in assisting us, but we aren't going to identify the courier company.
Absolutely.
Employee who discovered it.
A very good employee, a very alert, as far as I'm concerned, a very alert employee.
I don't know how much you can talk to this, but what specifically about the package? I know I reported on something that was exactly the same. It had to do with the courier company. This was in the past, less than a year ago. And they were able to sort of tell us what about the package sort of raised red flags with what was, again, an employee. What raised red flags with this employee, about this package?
There was red flags raised about the individual who was bringing packages to the courier company, and about the way the sender and receiver information was on the bill of lading. Once again, it's an ongoing investigation with our counterparts in Western Canada, so I just don't want to go into the specific details of the packaging.
Any further questions?
Just one more. You talked about it a bit about the logo or the insignia on there, and people are branding it. Can you just go into why these cartels and these groups are doing this?
There's a number of reasons. Different areas of organized crime. Traditional organized crime, They often want to brand their product when it comes to drugs. There's multiple reasons. Some it's to let the public know or the users know that's our particular drug out there. Often it also involves the fact that the drug cannot be ripped off by another individual involved in the drug trafficking business and substituted with an inferior product or a powder that's not drug at all. So often criminal organizations will do this to protect their product, for the sake of a better term.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That concludes today's conference.